am not going to cry. My tears have run out. I am making this podcast to serve as a testimony to Temidayo Olutobi Soewu, my first son. Some people already know what happened. Some people are going to be surprised, shocked at what they are going to hear in this podcast. But life comes, life continues, life goes, life does what it wants. We are just people who have to be on the chessboard of life. There are no tears left. All the tears, all the rivers of tears have flown out of my body. I want to tell you the story of Temidayo, the first person in the world who ever called me Papa, who ever called me Daddy. This is dedicated to him and dedicated to his life. On the 22nd day of September 2023, I received the news no parent ever want to receive. So there I was on this Friday afternoon, had a free day, and I was just doing house stuff, getting some of my videos edited, which is actually what I do. I create videos. I was alone at home. My wife had gone to see her mother. My youngest son, who lives with us, has gone to work. And I'm just alone, enjoying my free day, my free moment alone to myself, with myself, and the doorbell rings. So I go to the door to check who was at the door. And there at the door was standing two police agents. And my first thought was like, and that was actually what I said, what do you want? I thought maybe something happened in the neighborhood and they were just doing some investigation and they needed to ask some questions. But they said to me, can we come in? And I'm like, no, why? It's about your son. And I'm like, what? My son. And my immediate thought was my youngest son. But then I'm thinking like, he's never been in any problems with the law. So I let them in, and those two guys said to me, if you need to sit, sit, because we have some terrible news. And they told me, your son has been involved in a car accident, and he has died. And to put it in context, I have 3 sons living in different parts of the Netherlands. So I'm like, could it be my younger son? Because that was the first thought. Like, he is a post guy. He goes to, does his work on a bike. And could it be that he got hit by a car or something? And I'm thinking, my second son, what could have happened? But every other thought, I didn't think it was going to be my first child, my first son, who was living in Groningen. And so they told me, yes, it is your son, Temidayo. He died in a car accident at 4:30 that morning. So these 2 police agents came to bring me that bad news. And I'm like, okay, wake me up, because this can only be a dream. I felt my world shattering. I felt my world collapsing. I almost couldn't stand anymore. Like, what? How? Why? And why in that area? Because what they told me was he had a car accident at 4:30 in the morning, in a province where he was not living or working. Because I'm like, 4:30 in the morning, maybe he was just coming back from night work and he fell asleep at the steering wheel and lost control, died. But then something says to me, that was not his road at all, because that is totally way out of the area he works. I asked, are they positively sure that this was my son? And they said it was. And I've been divorced from his mother for a long time, very long time, since when he was little. So, and in the past several years, I've actually not been in contact with the mother or with the family of the mother. So I didn't have any contact, any telephone to call. So I had to rely on the agent again to give me the number of the mother. And then I called, and then she said, yeah, it's true. This is the whole situation. And I've been in a lot of shitty situations before, in a lot of situations, some mortals cannot even imagine. But I just felt my head explode. I did not know what to do, what kind of evil, what kind of tragedy, what kind of disaster has decided to come into my life. Dayo, who a couple of weeks ago was with me, Dayo, who a couple of months earlier just turned 30, the same age I was when I had him. Why? And then millions of questions. So I called the mother, she confirmed. I called the grandmother, she confirmed. And then I called my wife, who was at that moment with her mother on the road, because they were going to collect the ashes of her father, who died a couple of months earlier in July. So in July, my father-in-law died. We had only 10 days to mourn, arrange the funeral, and do a lot of other things. My former sister-in-law died. 10 days after my father-in-law died. And my former sister-in-law, the mother of my nephew and niece, who was supposed to be in my house on the day she died, who 3 days earlier, when we were doing the funeral service of my father-in-law, still sent flowers, still texted me to say how everything went, to know how everything went, and also to send her condolences. 3 days later, she was dead also. So it was a summer of tragedy, a summer of disaster, a summer of pain. And I thought that was already the end of it. Because people say bad things always come in threes. So the first tragedy was the father-in-law, then the former sister-in-law, and then I almost had a terrible accident, just driving home, negotiating a corner where we were supposed to be driving 50 kilometers an hour, and I was actually driving 30 kilometers per hour, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe I wasn't thought, maybe I wasn't concentrating because of all the things that were happening around me, and my car just spun in the corner. Luckily for me, there was no other car in the vicinity. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster, another disaster. So I thought, okay, that was the third event. I didn't have to worry again. I'm not a superstitious person, not knowing that the biggest loss ever was still coming. On the day that lady died, my son, who lives 3 hours away, was with me. We had a day we called Friendship. I called Friendship Day because it was my birthday a couple of months earlier. I didn't have the opportunity to celebrate it. So on that day, I invited all my close friends to come and be with me, and he was there. He was just happy, it seems, doing his things, slept here, ate African food as usual, and then left, and which was then for us the last time I actually saw him. We spoke a couple of times after that. My immediate thought was, I got to go see his dead body. On the other hand, my head was spinning, and I called my wife, and when I finally got her, because they were going to get the ashes on their way to collect the ashes of the dad who died. So once they were able to park somewhere that was safe, I told them the bad news, and it just became like a nightmare. So first I thought I'm going to drive to the north of Holland. I live in the south. But then I'm like, I'm not in a state to drive. So I just sat home thinking I will go the next day to go and look for my son, to go and see the rest of his family there, to maybe all the questions that I had in my head could be answered. And I remember just sitting on the couch, and later my younger son comes in and he sees me and he says, "Dad, are you okay?" Because normally I'm a practical joker. I make all kinds of fun with him, but I think he came in, saw me, and knew immediately something was wrong. And I had to ask him to sit, break the news to him that his big brother, the one who is closest to him, has passed away. How do you break that kind of news to anybody? Why me? Why? My world totally collapsed. And pain I had never ever imagined I could have. I've been kidnapped before. I've been, kidnapped really that made world news, but that's close friends and people who know me in real life know about that. At gunpoint with Kalashnikov being shot at me with some other people. I've been a victim of robbery, armed robbery, with people who have beaten me, attempted to take whatever I had on me before. I have seen lots of pain. I have been one who has faced a lot of disasters before. I've lost a younger sister before. I have known pain. There was a time when I did not know I was going to live till maybe 40 even. Pain has been part of my life growing up. But there is no pain that is comparable with losing your child. It was a terrible night. It was a lonely night. It was a disastrous night. It was a night when the two of us who were at home, myself and my younger son, we were crying like it was just tears and tears and tears and tears and tears. I don't think any of us slept that night. And millions of questions. And I had a kind of headache, maybe it was migraine, the like I had never, ever experienced before in my life. And I lost my son. He was not going to come back. But you know, somehow in your head, you are like, it's a dream, you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up and it's going to be just all a terrible nightmare. But the reality will be different. Today is the 39th day since he died. Tomorrow will be the last day of mourning according to our tradition, the Yoruba tradition, which he was really interested in. He was the most African of all my children. So I've been observing a 40-day mourning period. And this is part of the healing process. It's also my way of chronicling the events of the past 39 days. Because the brain has a way of, compartmentalizing things, and then, because you need to function, you need to go on. At a point in time, you forget certain things. I want to make sure I leave this here as a testimony, as my testimony to his memory. If you have lost a child, lost somebody who is close to you, and you need somebody to talk with, an organization to connect with, just look around, do a Google search around you. It's always good to talk. Because after the shock, you need to heal. And part of the process of healing is talking about your pain. The pain is going to be forever. I will laugh, I will smile, I will make my jokes, I will do my work, but the pain is hidden behind the laughter. So Temidayo, my son who passed 22nd of September 2023, I will always love you, I will always cherish you, I will always remember some of the discussions we had, not only here, but also when we went together to Zanzibar. So whoever is listening or watching this, thank you for listening. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Honor the memory of the ones that are departed. Love the ones who are around you. Take care of yourselves.